National Expedition. Saving the Immortal Cultivation Realm Introduction. If one day, when you look up and see no longer the blue sky, but a cultivation world that has been invaded by demons and is about to fall, please don't be surprised. Because at this moment, billions of people around the world are watching this special live broadcast with you. The good news is that you can watch the dying struggles of immortals for free, as well as those eye-catching scenes. The bad news is that 300 years from now, the next one will be Earth. Chapter 1. Monument for Merit Transmission. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. In the morning, at 6:45, the world is gradually waking up, with bright sunshine falling from the clouds, passing through the mountains, forests, and fields, landing on the bed, shining into sleep. This should be a very ordinary day. At least before this moment. Then in the next moment, the sunlight was still shining, but without any warning, a semi-transparent light ball of unknown size appeared in the sky, more like a projection or a mirage. But in reality, this is much clearer than a mirage or any projection. A strange world suddenly appeared like this. In a short period of time, whether in urban or rural areas, whether on the peaks of mountains or in the sea, even on the other hemisphere entering the darkness, this scene was seen without any influence. The appearance of this photosphere goes against all known principles. Click click click. Dee dee dee. The streets were in chaos, and people who didn't mind the excitement were taking photos, taking group photos, and posting them on various platforms. In less than a minute, this incident became a hot topic on the search engine. And it evolved into a nationwide frenzy. A joyful atmosphere is everywhere. Except for the person who is currently sleeping in, as well as the person in bed, regardless of whether they are awake or not, no matter what position they are taking, as long as they have physical contact with the bed, they all instantly enter a unique and non-contradictory dream. In the dream, there was a darkness that didn't make people feel scared. Instead, an old voice slowly sounded, like background music. The invasion of demons and the withering of Tao fire. In 3,000 worlds, the human race perished. You are the last descendant of the human race in the 3,000 worlds, and the demon will invade here in 300 years, destroying everything. You can choose to do something, or you can choose not to do anything. Accompanied by the aging voice, a ghostly light suddenly lit up ahead, followed by the second and third points. Quickly, the light rapidly expanded, enveloping 3 stone tablets. The style of the stone tablet is very complex, strange, and unique, with words appearing on it. However, as the light gradually increased, many people who had thought they were just dreaming suddenly realized in horror, "Good guy, surrounded by a sea of people, drums and gongs, when did there be so many people in my dream?" Screams kept coming one after another, and some people were shouting loudly not to panic. "My dream is up to me. Everything is empty, wake up quickly. Oh my, ghosts are crushing the bed, it's strange not to panic." Wei Qing was also in a panic at the moment, not because he was timid, but because he thought he might have died. As a single social animal in his 30s, he finally encountered a weekend without overtime and accidentally stayed up all night playing games. As the saying goes, life has its limits, and one should enjoy oneself in a timely manner. He had just gone to bed and was about to fall asleep when he encountered this strange thing, and his first reaction was that he had already entered the Naiha Bridge. The feeling of wanting to move but not being able to move is really overwhelming. However, this state only lasted for a few seconds, because the light burst from the 3 stone tablets above suddenly increased several times, as if the sun was rising in the east, instantly making everyone, including Wei City, quiet. There seemed to be a calming force in this light, shining on the body, warm and comfortable, and even couldn't help but want to sleep again. The whole person seemed to have gained a new life. Unfortunately, the light only lasted for 3 seconds before returning to normal and revealing the main body of the 3 stone tablets. And at this moment, the old voice rang out once again. These are 3 transmission stone tablets engraved with the martial artist's mind technique. If you want to do something for the inevitable invasion of demons in 300 years, just stare at the transmission stone tablets for a moment and choose one of them. If you only want to have fun in time or don't believe this, then you can wake up now. Does anyone believe it or not? Anyway, Wei Qing doesn't believe it, but he also doesn't want to quit. If this is really a dream, waking up too early wouldn't be a waste. Join in the fun, no one is afraid of anyone. There are naturally many people who share the same ideas as Wei Qing, although everyone is half believing at this moment. At this moment, as Wei Qing focused his gaze on the first stone tablet, the next moment, many words and images appeared on the originally empty stone tablet, but these words and images were a bit peculiar, like tadpoles swimming non-stop. Even more miraculously, Wei City could still be understood in this way. The top line of words should be used to explain. The invasion of demons, the withering of Tao fire. 3,000 worlds, the death of the human race. Burning inheritance, leaving for fate. Subsequently, moving mountain mind technique. Martial arts realm, practicing the original mind method can generate the internal power of moving mountains, which is domineering and powerful. When it acts on the whole body, it can strengthen the defense of blood, flesh, muscles, bones, and skin membranes. The disadvantage is that it lacks agility. Matchable external skill techniques. Golden bell mask, matching degree of 80%, iron cloth shirt, matching degree of 70%, iron head skill, 60%. Friendly reminder. The immortal method is vast, the Tao fire is mysterious, and the method is not easily transmitted. I have been doing my best to take care of your understanding ability. Ha! Wei Qing immediately found it very interesting. He fixed his gaze on the second stone tablet of the cultivation technique again, and soon saw the content on it. Lingyan Heart Technique. Martial realm, practicing the original mind method can generate Lingyan's internal power, which is extremely agile and skilled at using force to strike. When applied to the body, it can make the body as light as a swallow and dodge like electricity, but the disadvantage is insufficient power, matchable external skill techniques. Ladder cloud leap, matching degree of 80%, water float, matching degree of 70%, grass flying, matching degree of 60%. After reading the second stone tablet, Wei Qing can basically guess what the third martial arts stone tablet is. It turns out that I am really dreaming, and playing in groups is endless, right? I bet the third stone tablet is a nanny's mind technique. Purple cloud mind technique. Martial arts realm, practicing the original mind method can generate the purple cloud internal power, which is continuous and long-lasting, with appropriate movement and stillness. It accumulates and spreads thinly, acting on the whole body, making the ears and eyes clear, hands and feet compatible, and the breath stable. The disadvantage is that the cultivation speed is slow. Matchable external skill techniques. Dragon palm technique, 80%, 8 directions sword technique, 70%, cloak stick technique, 60%, surprisingly, it's not a nanny's mind. Wei City was a bit surprised, but it's not important. So, how should we choose these three mental techniques based on defense, agility, and attack? After a moment of contemplation, he still gave up the slower Xianxia heart technique and chose the first stone tablet, the moving mountain heart technique. As for the Lingyan heart technique, I'm sorry, as someone who has been fat since childhood, it can be ignored. When Wei Qing made a choice, there was also a bit of a sense of luck in his dreams. But at the moment when he finished making the choice, the text and pictures on the martial arts stone tablet suddenly penetrated his mind, pouring in countless amounts of information, and even a warm breath generated from nothing to something. Then it automatically circulated around him 3 times, and finally stopped below his lower abdomen, which was incredibly mysterious. Before Wei Qing could fully feel it, he woke up without any warning in the next moment, but the place where he woke up was not on his bed, but a stone cave with only a faint light. Looking at the surrounding rock walls, Yu reads www.yuukangshu.net, and the traces of excavation, it looks more like a mining cave. After being stunned for a few seconds, Wei Qing suddenly pinched the root of his thigh, causing him to shudder in pain. Tears were about to come out, but miraculously, the heat flow in his lower abdomen suddenly circulated automatically, and the pain disappeared instantly. However, his original size was reduced by 1/10 as a result. I'm rough. Wei Qing shouted in his heart, so this is true. Is this his internal strength for moving mountains? But what should we do next? Is there a property panel? Is there a system? What about the old man with golden feet? After a moment of wild imagination, Wei Qing quickly calmed down. The truth was not important, adaptation was the most important. 3 stone tablets, 3 mental techniques, what kind of mental technique you choose, will lead to what kind of opening. My mountain moving mind technique can reduce damage and belongs to the defense side, but although the stone tablet recommends external skill techniques, it is not given on the stone tablet. Therefore, do I need to search for this external skill technique, or do I need to kill monsters and drop it? While thinking, Wei Qing kept his breath closed, listened attentively, and observed carefully. The surroundings were quiet, and he could even hear his own heartbeat. This is the end of a mining cave, about 3 to 5 square meters in size, with a strange moss emitting a faint light. In addition, the air here is quite fresh, indicating that survival is not a problem. As for weapons, Wei Cheng's gaze searched and unexpectedly found a set of coarse cloth clothes, a pair of cloth shoes, a backpack, inside which was a water bag and 2 hard stone-like vegetable cakes. Finally, a pickaxe was placed next to it. Good guy, this is getting him started as a miner. Newcomer's new book, please support me a lot and give me some courage to move forward. Thank you very much. Chapter 2. Moving Mountains. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wei Qing is 1.82 meters tall and weighs 220 pounds. Wearing that coarse cloth outfit, it fits exceptionally well, and even has a bit of the elegance of an ancient gentleman and the charm of a stranger like Jade. But at this moment, he wasn't stinky, he was thinking quickly. The temperature in this mine is about -20 degrees Celsius. In my current state, as long as I start mining, I will definitely sweat profusely, and the water in that bag is about 1 liter, which is only enough for me to persist for a day. So mining is not a good choice unless I plan to go out, but what if the mine where I was born is the only safe zone? This cake looks very rough, but it should be edible. Be frugal and can be eaten for 3 days, no, 5 days, if urine is also included. So, in 5 days, what level can I cultivate the mountain moving mind technique to? Wei Cheng's expression was very serious, and he chose the key point of cultivation from the beginning. Although he skipped the process of learning and comprehending the technique of moving mountains with the help of the transmission stone monument, the internal power of moving mountains in his body was only lost once. Therefore, in this unfamiliar environment without any prompts, practicing the internal power of moving mountains is the optimal solution. Of course, maybe others can find better solutions, but it's not his concern. Next, Wei Qing didn't even have the idea of exploring the mine cave. He was very worried that stepping out of a certain range would result in leaving the safe zone. In his mind, all the information about practicing the technique of moving mountains is clearly visible. Wei Qing sat down with his back against the stone wall. Although he couldn't cross his knees because he was too fat, he could still quickly enter a state of cultivation, which was as skilled as picking up chopsticks to eat. Even his understanding of his own body seemed to have opened his perspective. It seems that the 3 seconds of light shining before had fundamentally improved his physical fitness. Exhale, regulate breath, keep one's mind and thoughts like water. The internal energy of moving mountains below the lower abdomen moves silently, moving slowly along the meridians. With each passing meridian, a familiar and unfamiliar name will automatically come to mind in Wei Cheng's mind. Meridians, acupoints, and numerous checkpoints. Starting from the lower abdomen, ascending along the lungs, passing through the left arm, passing through the head, then through the lungs, and then through the right arm, penetrating downwards until completing a cycle and returning to the lower abdomen dantian. It was a Sunday, and Wei Qing felt comfortable all over. His body had lightened by 1 or 2, but at the same time, his stomach began to growl violently. Without warning, an extremely strong sense of hunger struck. He wanted to go get food, but he didn't even have the strength to reach out for it. His eyes turned black and he collapsed on the ground because at that moment, he didn't know what had happened. He danced square dance all over his body, including his meridians, vital points, muscles, bones, and lungs, trembling violently. This nightmare-like pain lasted for several minutes, and Wei Qing suspected whether he was still alive. However, this eerie hunger came and went quickly, and when he could no longer feel hunger, he suddenly returned to normal. As he stood up, he immediately felt as if he had become much more agile. After all, the fat man weighing 220 pounds was still very noticeable. Feeling his stomach, Wei Qing was extremely suspicious. In just a moment, he had lost at least 20 pounds of weight. What about impurities? What about impurities that should be eliminated? Smelling oneself doesn't seem to smell either. It's okay, it's not important. Looking inside at dantian, the internal strength of that group of moving mountains has increased by about 2.5 compared to before. Good guy, the cause and effect is here. Glancing at the 2 stone-like vegetable cakes, Wei Qing decisively chose to continue losing weight. Next, he gritted his teeth, and every Sunday of cultivation, he would feel an incredibly strong sense of hunger, followed by intense tremors throughout his body, making life more difficult than death. But the result was excellent. After 3 weeks of cultivation, the internal power of moving mountains in Wei Qing's dantian increased by about twice, and he has basically returned to the appearance of being handsome enough to break through the sky in high school. However, Wei Qing dared not continue. At this moment, he was extremely anxious and felt like he was about to die suddenly at any moment. Opening his water bag, he carefully took a sip of water. The water was surprisingly fresh, with a hint of coldness, piercing into his lungs. He had never tasted such delicious water before. Wait a minute. Wei Qing closed his eyes and sensed the faint cold air flowing, quickly turning into a warm current. For a moment, all his fatigue was swept away, and even his thinking and consciousness were too clear and rational. This is not ordinary water, but a medicine that can restore one's state, dispel fatigue, refresh the mind, and most importantly, restore physical strength. Many thoughts quickly flashed through Wei Qing's mind, and he immediately carefully stuffed the lid of the water bag. The situation was a bit beyond his expectations. He began to rethink the beginning and end of the matter. Firstly, this is not a dream, at least not a dream in the ordinary sense. Secondly, this doesn't seem like a time travel either, because just now, I saw at least tens of thousands of people and many ghosts shouting, "God be safe." Thirdly, I chose the transmission monument, so I appeared here. If this is a triggering medium, it means that I must find a second similar triggering medium before I can return to Earth. Fourth, prepare such good things at the beginning. Do you know how dangerous it is outside? Is it possible that this is the so-called cultivation world? A bold idea suddenly came to Wei Qing's mind. Since the invasion of demons will affect Earth in 300 years, how can Earthlings intervene in this matter? Obviously, there is nothing more effective than throwing Earthlings onto the battlefield to fight against monsters. For a moment, Wei Qing's heart was heavy, and he dared not delay time. No matter how valuable the water in this water bag was, it could not compare to his own strength. As expected, after practicing for a week, his whole body energy was completely depleted. So he immediately took another sip of water to replenish his energy to its peak. By the time Wei Qing drank 3/4 of the water from his water bag, he had also practiced for 30 weeks in one breath. Based on the fact that each week could generate about 2/5 of his mountain-moving internal power, his mountain-moving internal power in the elixir field had increased by more than 10 times. The effects of so many internal forces brought by moving mountains are extremely different. Even if he doesn't use his own internal forces, Yu can feel that there is a rushing river in the Dantian, surging and rolling. If he suddenly fills his whole body with the internal forces of moving mountains, Wei Qing really feels like he can poke a hole in the sky. It's too hard. However, these internal forces from moving mountains are not easy to obtain, and Wei City dare not make mistakes or waste them. In addition, perhaps because he entered the territory too quickly and the realm was unstable, he always had a feeling of being drunk and unable to grasp it. As long as the internal forces in the elixir field were shaken, they would spit out. This made Wei City even more hesitant to tinker, just sitting cross-legged, carefully sorting out some of the dishonest internal energy of moving mountains along the meridians over and over again, until it was completely stable. I don't know how long it had been, but a thunderous sound suddenly erupted in Wei Cheng's mind, as if echoing. Almost at the same time, his internal strength in moving mountains in his Dantian erupted like a volcano without warning. Wei Cheng was completely dumbfounded, and could only watch helplessly as his hard-earned mountain-moving internal strength broke through the dam and directly broke through. But in the next moment, the stone tablet of the cultivation technique reappeared before Wei Cheng's eyes, and more information immediately flooded into his mind. Only then did he suddenly realize. It turned out that he had actually cultivated the amount of internal power in moving mountains to one level. At this moment, with a whopping amount of internal energy, he has directly become a martial artist in the innate realm. This is too fast. Wei Qing murmured to himself, but the next moment he was shocked to find that something had changed inside the mine. First, the moss that could emit a faint light gradually faded, then layers of spider webs appeared in the mine. Finally, he heard someone shouting not far away. For some reason, Wei City suddenly had a realization that the safe house was gone, and they had mostly arrived at the true cultivation world. Chapter 3. End of Mine Tunnel. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Quickly calming himself down, Wei Qing slowly used his internal strength to move the mountain while listening to the voices of the people around him. At this moment, although the faint moss in the mine had completely dimmed, with the help of the internal power of moving the mountain, the scene he saw became clearer. Furthermore, it is unknown what advantages the innate realm warriors have. In any case, Wei City operates in such a way that there is no sense of consumption at all. No, the consumption is minimal. This internal power of moving mountains has completely become his strength. Just like an ordinary person standing there, would he worry about running out of energy after walking a dozen miles? No, because physical strength can be continuously regenerated. That's how Wei Qing feels now. The total amount of his mountain-moving internal strength will not decrease, unless it completely disappears in special circumstances. Otherwise, even if it is consumed, it will quickly recover. At this moment, Wei Qing first checked the 2 vegetable cakes and the remaining quarter of water, and found no signs of spoilage. Both of these things should be extraordinary, and they were a small advantage he had accumulated by burning his own fat. At the beginning of the game, others used their golden fingers, which were their own fat and considered top-notch. He carefully hid the vegetable cake close to his body and put the water bag in the basket. He then held the pickaxe in hand and cautiously walked out along the mine. We have to go now. Hello. Is anyone there? I'm Zhang Yong from the Civil Engineering Class 40 at Peace City University. I practice the purple cloud mine technique. Do you have any team members? About 100 meters away, someone was shouting, and Wei Cheng's position flashed through his heart. It was magical, as the state of a martial artist in the innate realm gave him a feeling of being a little superhero. But Peace City University, alumni, he is in the 30th grade. As Wei Qing walked, he suddenly caught a glimpse of a faint red light from the corner of his eye. It appeared on a rock wall, like some kind of red ore. Only a little bit was visible. If there were faint moss in the past, it would still be easy to detect as long as you search carefully. However, now that it is black, except for innate martial artists like Wei City, most people are unlikely to be able to detect it. Without hesitation, he swung the pickaxe and went up all at once. The sound was not loud, but the seemingly inconspicuous pickaxe went straight into the rock wall, very hard. Wei Qing was surprised in his heart, but he knew it had nothing to do with him. It should be the relationship between this pickaxe and the cultivation of the immortal world. With a few strokes, he dug out the ore that emitted a faint red light. It seemed to be a single mineral, only the size of a fist, with a very smooth surface and sharp edges. Those who didn't know thought it was a work of art. Wei City can imagine how beautiful this ore would be under sufficient light. If it were brought to Earth, it would definitely catch the attention of the whole world. He can't put it down a bit, please forgive his behavior like an old hat, after all, he is also a layman. Who would have thought that the speed of friction was slightly faster, and the red light on the surface of the ore quickly brightened up, as if a fire was burning. At the same time, Wei Cheng's sense as a martial artist in the innate realm also made him unable to resist the sweat, as if a disaster was imminent. Until the red light quickly faded, the feeling that made him extremely palpitate disappeared. I'm rough, what kind of stone is this? Is there a cloud explosion bomb hidden inside? Wei Qing dares not make mistakes. He carefully put this ore in the back basket, and now he has truly become a miner. Is anyone over there? Please speak in earthly language, otherwise I will launch an attack immediately. At this moment, Zhang Yong's words came from afar again. He should have heard the sound of mining in Wei City, and he seemed to have advanced towards this direction for more than 10 meters, feeling and groping. At first glance, it is not an innate state, because he chose the slowest purple cloud heart technique for cultivation. As long as it is not in the innate state, internal power will gradually be consumed with use. At this point, Wei Cheng was already very clear that the water sachet and vegetable cake in the safe room required everyone to practice as much as possible to the innate realm. This is the cultivation world, and it is extremely dangerous due to the invasion of foreign demons. Without the strength of an innate martial artist, it is just an ant. Okay, actually even those born in the realm of martial arts are still ants. Wei Qing sighed, but did not speak in response. Instead, he quickly searched around. At this moment, he heard the voices of many people in the mine. Previously, everyone was in a safe house, so he might not be able to discover those unique ores. If there were other people who had also cultivated into innate martial artists, there would definitely be competition. In fact, Wei Qing had already heard the sound of the pickaxe striking from a distance, so let's set aside the team for now. In this unfamiliar environment, arming oneself as much as possible, strengthening oneself, and obtaining all available resources is the correct way to open up. Next, Wei Qing did not dig up that magical flame ore again. Instead, he dug up a black ore the size of a watermelon. He thought it might be iron ore, but he couldn't be sure because it was too pure and hard. With a pickaxe, there was not even a white spot left. This black ore weighs about 100 pounds. If it were Wei City before, it would really be difficult to handle it, but now it is still very easy to put in the basket. It was also at this moment that he realized that the backpack of the Immortal Cultivation realm was really sturdy, estimated to carry a weight of 500 to 600 pounds. Hey, brother, are you mining? How could you see that? That Zhang Yong can be said to have been in trouble with Wei City. This guy's ability to distinguish between sound and position is quite good. He went around and even managed to touch Wei City more than 10 meters away. However, at this moment, there seems to be a main mining tunnel ahead, with a faint light shining on it, and many people shouting to gather there. Listening to the sound, about dozens of people are needed. Wei Qing was a bit worried, not because he was worried that too many people would snatch his ore, but because he was worried about what he would face if he left this mine. I'm also from Peace City, my name is Wei Daong. Seeing that he couldn't shake off this fellow villager, Wei Qing casually gave a name and went over. When going out, the boys should be careful. Hello, Wei Gu. What kind of mine technique did you choose? Why does my mind technique, which can make people hear and see clearly, feel inferior to yours in this mine? Zhang Yong is very enthusiastic, without any precautions at all. He really looks like a fellow villager meeting his fellow villager in the game. Wei Qing glanced at him. He is in the 40th grade and was still a high school student in the first half of this year. He is really young. I chose the method of moving mountains, but it's similar to yours, but I've been sensitive to it since I was young, and I can even hear two mice fighting in their holes. Wei Qing casually fabricated a sentence and walked towards the bright spot in the distance. He had already seen it clearly. As it was the main mine, there were more traces of mining, and that special ore had already been fully mined. Walking forward for several tens of meters, Wei Cheng and Zhang Yong also met two fellow villagers. One of them was an old man with gray hair, his gaze bright and vivid, and he could instantly sense Wei Cheng's gaze. The two of them just looked at each other and knew that they had both reached the innate realm of cultivation. Hello, two little brothers. My name is Wu Hongwei, and this is my granddaughter Wu Yin. The old man opened his mouth with a smile, looking kind to others. However, his granddaughter Wu Yin was not born in the world, and obviously, like Zhang Yong, chose the purple cloud mine technique. Hello Grandpa, my name is Zhang Yong, and this is my brother Wei Daong. The young man behind Wei Qing enthusiastically rushed over, shaking his granddaughter's hand non-stop. TSK, are all the 20s now so awesome? As a post-.10s generation, Wei Qing feels inferior. I'm sorry, I have caused everyone to lose face. Let's go gather first, there may be an exit over there. The little girl laughed, her two dimples were very beautiful, and she withdrew her hand without leaving a trace. The four of them no longer chatted, with the grandfather and grandson in front and Wei Cheng and Zhang Yong behind. They didn't go far, but a few more people joined from another diverging mine passage. As the mine becomes wider and wider, the view becomes brighter, as if it is not far from the exit. At this moment, someone in front lowered their voice and said, "Don't leave, everyone. The front is not an exit but a huge transmission stone monument. The light is emitted from the monument, but there is a black spider the size of a heavy truck in front of the transmission stone monument. Also, I suggest everyone keep quiet as much as possible and not disturb the black spider, even though its body is too big to crawl in. Thank you very much to Lan Roa Roa, Ji Bai, Wuliangshan Dormitory Old 5 and other book enthusiasts for their support and tips. I also appreciate everyone's support. During the new book period, I will add some updates appropriately, but more updates will have to wait for their release. Please understand and thank you again. New book and new story, let's set sail again. Chapter 4. Demons in the Stone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It feels like playing a game. A little yellow-haired boy tried to jump and shout under his throat, feeling extremely excited. He kept bouncing and jumping in place like showing off his skills. Of course, he also cultivated the Lingyan heart technique to the innate realm. In fact, among this group of people at this moment, except for those who choose the purple cloud heart technique, whether they choose the moving mountain heart technique or the spirit swallow heart technique, as long as they drink all the water in their water bags and eat those 2 pieces of vegetable cakes, they will definitely gain 1 armor of internal power, and then smoothly become a martial artist in the heavenly realm. Whether or not to play games is not important, what's important is that we may die. A middle-aged man with a dignified appearance spoke, and one sentence made everyone's mood heavy. Death is a distant word, but if death is right in front of us, is it all a game? My name is Xianxia, and I am also from P City. As you may have noticed, there are a total of 50 people here at this moment, all of whom are from P City. I don't think this is a coincidence. After all, when we were selecting the transmission stone monument before, there were tens of thousands of people, and even many foreigners. Assuming this is a game, the original intention of this game is for us to cooperate with each other. I guess the reason is that the enemy is too terrifying, such as the big spider, which is likely a monster in the cultivation world. Everyone nodded in agreement with this statement. Xianxia, who even Wei City had seen from afar, was a senior executive of a certain group. In fact, almost 1/3 of these 50 people recognized this guy. Mr. Shen, we will do whatever you say. Several people immediately expressed their opinions, not even opposing the arrogant little yellow-haired one, but instead showing admiration, knowing oneself, knowing the enemy, and winning every battle. We don't know about the situation of that big spider now, so we need to understand ourselves first. We had 3 cultivation methods to choose from before, and I think it's more like a certain type of career combination. Now, please stand aside those who have chosen the moving mountain mind technique and have reached the innate realm of cultivation. Xianxia didn't hesitate and started directing directly. No one objected. Wei Qing walked out with the others, and there were quite a few people who chose to move the mountains, a total of 22. Obviously, compared to attacking, everyone preferred defense. Including Xianxia, at this moment he said. Now, please stand on this side for those who have chosen the Lingyan heart technique and have reached the innate realm of cultivation. Wow, 12 people stood up, mostly ladies. At this moment, there were still 16 men and women left in the middle, all looking embarrassed, helpless, regretful, and full of words about Mr. Jin's mistake. Everyone went for the name of Purple Cloud Mind technique. Who would have thought that after drinking all the water and eating all the vegetables and cakes, they worked hard to cultivate, but ultimately failed to break through the innate realm? Whether or not this has broken through the innate realm is completely different. One is a weak chicken, and the other is Superman, hey. After a brief silence, Xianxia spoke again. Everyone, I don't think we need to worry about whether this is a game or something. Even if this is the trial prepared by the immortal for us, we cannot be careless. And since we have made a choice, there is no chance to retreat. 50 of us have been assigned here, and there are several possibilities in the current situation. Firstly, we must all cultivate to the innate realm before we can defeat the spider demon and obtain the next transmission stone tablet, which may contain new mental techniques or external techniques suitable for our mental techniques. Secondly, we may not need to cultivate all members to the innate realm. The 3 mental techniques represent 3 professions. Even if the purple cloud's internal power you cultivate does not reach the innate realm, it may still cause a lot of damage to the spider demon. That is to say, we still have a high chance of passing the level, but the cost is that because you are not in the innate realm, the purple cloud's internal power is consumed and cannot be restored completely. Thirdly, all of us are waiting here. The 16 of you will continue to cultivate the purple cloud mind technique. When will you reach the innate realm? We will pass the level again. The only thing is, we don't know if time is on our side. After Xianxia finished talking about these 3 situations, everyone fell silent again. The people who had practiced the mountain moving heart technique and the spirit swallow heart technique all looked at the 16 people. It was self-evident what their thoughts were. Mr. Shen, why don't we just wait? Maybe they can break through in just a few days. Wu Hongwei spoke up, and his granddaughter chose the purple cloud mind technique, which is particularly important at this time. Xianxia remained silent at this moment, because no matter what he said, he would offend people. If these 16 people who had practiced the purple cloud heart technique said nothing and didn't go out to hunt spiders, wouldn't these 30.4 of them go to die? Although he also claims to be a hero, he doesn't have the courage to rush out first. For the present plan, it seems that there is only waiting left. But in the absence of clear water and vegetable cakes, can these 16 people really cultivate the purple cloud heart technique to the innate realm in a short period of time? At this moment, a man arranged by Xianxia to observe the spider demon quickly ran over and shouted in a voice that was almost scared to tears, "Not good, Mr. Shen, that big spider is starting to give birth to little spiders." As soon as these words were spoken, the big guy panicked. The reason why they were able to remain calm in this meeting before was because the entrance of this mine could only accommodate 2 people walking side by side. The big spider was as big as a heavy truck over 10 meters long, so it definitely couldn't get in. But if the big spider suddenly starts giving birth to the small spider, it's different. Ladies and gentlemen, we must continue to suffer from its chaos. We cannot wait any longer. Taking advantage of the fact that the spider monster has not undergone any other changes yet and that it has not given birth to many young spiders, let's go up together and kill it. Xianxia was quite decisive and immediately shouted, "This is also Wei Cheng's idea." At this moment, he hesitated and was waiting for takeout. Unfortunately, even though most of them have quickly become innate martial artists, they are essentially just a group of law-abiding ordinary people. The scene immediately became chaotic, with each one running wildly like headless flies, risking their lives to run into the mine where they had previously lived. Only a dozen or so calm people remained in place, looking at each other in confusion. But as the rustling sound came, more than a dozen spiders the size of washbasins quickly crawled into the mine. Even the last calm dozen or so of them were scratching their heads. After all, this was not a game. Kill. That Mr. Shen is truly a big shot. At this moment, he was able to shout out loud, and his calmness was rare. He swung his pickaxe over and smashed a spider, causing the juice to fly all over the sky. It can only be said that the power of role models is infinite. Immediately, 4 or 5 people gathered their courage and rushed over, including Wei City, picking up pickaxes and smashing them fiercely. In the blink of an eye, they killed these dozen or so spiders on the spot, which was too easy. Everyone calm down, look, it's not that difficult. Xianxia shouted loudly, taking advantage of this opportunity to stabilize people's hearts, which is a trait that a leader must possess. Indeed, at this moment, Wei Cheng felt that following Mr. Shen would bring infinite brightness to the future. Not to mention others, the panicked crowd quickly calmed down, and many beautiful women began to have their eyes lit up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not too late. I think we should all join forces and go all out in one go. Before Xianxia could finish his words to boost morale, without any warning, a black paw that had emerged from somewhere pierced through his chest. He couldn't resist his tremendous internal strength in moving mountains. Xianxia waved his hands in despair, his eyes filled with unwillingness and doubt. But this scene has too much impact on others. I don't know how many people were screaming, with feces and urine flowing in unison, but in the next moment, more black claws came out and took the screaming people away in chains. This time, everyone saw clearly that this black claw actually came from the rock under their feet. Turns out there's more than one monster. Chapter 5. True Pig Feet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The blood-filled mine was extremely quiet, with 12 blood-drenched and gruesome corpses teaching all survivors the most terrifying and desperate lesson. But what's even more cruel is still ahead. Groups of little spiders got up and dragged the body away, seemingly in peace with the monsters in the rock. But it is also uncertain whether the birth of these little spiders awakened the stone demon. After all, before this, they had also shouted and shouted. Wei City and some people had also mined ores, and at that time, the stone demon was not disturbed. No matter what the truth is, no one dares to speak loudly now. Hiding deep in a mining cave, Wei Cheng tried to calm down his violently beating heart while desperately pondering. To be honest, when Xianxia was killed, he was scared to pee and his mind went blank for more than 10 seconds. This means that the demon in the stone cannot attack quiet targets, and there are no small spiders nearby, otherwise his grave grass would have started to sprout at this time. It can only be said that games are games, and reality is reality. However, perhaps people are really different. Zhang Yong reacted quickly, covering Wu Yin's screaming mouth in the first place, pulling her and her grandfather aside, and then turning around to pull Wei Cheng over, while also pulling 2 equally frightened ones. And now, the little beauty Wu Yin has sat trembling in his arms, not resisting at all. This young man has a promising future. Continuing like this is not a solution. After a long time, Wei Cheng spoke softly, trembling as he spoke. In fact, he didn't want to be the leader, and Mr. Shen's bones were not yet cold. But the old man Wu Hongwei, who had also advanced to the innate realm, sat there with his eyes closed, ignoring his granddaughter's entanglement with Zhang Yong's heavenly thunder. The other two, one is a middle-aged bald man who also practices the technique of moving mountains. He looks very powerful, but he doesn't say a word. Even if Wei Cheng looks over, he immediately shows a kind smile that middle-aged people understand. There was also an exquisite lady wearing glasses, around 30 years old, who practiced the Lingyan heart technique. Sitting there, she kept away from strangers and occasionally rolled her eyes at Zhang Yong with a look of 3 parts disgust and 7 parts anger, but unfortunately Zhang Yong couldn't see it. As for Zhang Yong, roughly, forget it. Young people, with thick nerves and strong firepower, dare to hold a female ghost and dance in the cemetery at this age. Long live your understanding. No one responded to Wei Cheng, and even the old man Wu Hongwei didn't want to be his comedian. We have to give it a try. Wei Cheng still whispered to himself, he didn't want to die, he had to save himself, but he also knew that even if he ate the remaining water and pancakes, he couldn't let his mountain-moving power break through to the next level. So the best choice is to let Zhang Yong, who is practicing Purple Cloud Mind technique, advance to the innate realm. 3 mental methods, 3 professions, cannot be without a reason. I still have a quarter of clear water left here, Zhang Yong. Do you want your Purple Cloud Mind technique to break through the innate realm? Wei Cheng's words finally came into play, and the old man Wu Hongwei, who pretended to be dead, quickly opened his eyes, which could be described as electric. Bald men, delicate women, and even Zhang Yong, who was getting up and down, all stopped. Think, Wei Gu, from now on, you are my own brother. I promise I'm just a little short of breaking through. Zhang Yong is extremely excited. Wei Cheng glanced at him and slowly took out the water bag from his backpack, handing it over. The other few watched intently, but in the next moment, the delicate woman suddenly lightning struck and snatched the water bag. She practiced the Lingyan heart technique, which was the fastest movement, but no matter how fast it was not as fast as the bald man. She hugged her long legs and threw them on the ground, only hearing a click, and her legs broke. The bald man snatched the water bag and threw it back to Zhang Yong, then showed a simple and kind smile. Woo-woo, I'm rough with your mother. The delicate woman was sweating profusely in pain, but dared not shout loudly. From beginning to end, Wei Cheng and the old man Wu Hongwei remained motionless. Because the mining cave is so big, Wei City is so big that it's stuck at the entrance. How mentally disabled would it be to think about taking away the water bag and being able to retreat completely? In fact, Wei Cheng had thought that Wu Hongwei would start robbing. After all, Wu Yin had also practiced the Purple Cloud Mind technique, so he had always been on guard against the old man. Who would have thought that the old man stood still, really a cunning old man? Sigh. I will never betray everyone's trust. Zhang Yong, who had received the water bag, quickly took a sip and practiced meditation. In no time, he saw purple energy permeating his body, which was very mysterious. Sure enough, among the 3 cultivation methods, this was the one with the best growth potential. At this moment, Wei Cheng even regretted it a bit. If he had chosen the Purple Cloud Heart technique and relied on his initial body fat, could he have successfully cultivated it? The mining cave quieted down again, but Zhang Yong's cultivation was very long. It took about a few hours for Xianxia's internal power to circulate for a week. And so on, wouldn't it be said that they all spent about a month before? The good news, however, is that after drinking 5 large sips of clear water, Zhang Yong's purple cloud internal power reached its peak, breaking through the level in an instant and becoming an innate martial artist. When Zhang Yong opened his eyes again, the entire dark mind seemed to have brightened up a bit. Wei Cheng, Wu Hongwei, and the bald man Su Fei all had the illusion of being blinded by the flashing dog's eyes. At this moment, they all had a clear realization in their hearts that they were definitely not a match for Zhang Yong. Everyone, it's not too late. I think I can kill that spider monster alone. Yu reading www.xianxia.net. Zhang Yong lowered his voice and smiled, casually putting the water bag with at least 5 mouthfuls of water left in his arms. At this moment, his purple energy was so strong that even his fists emitted 3 inches of purple energy, just like a cannibal tiger. The old man Wu Hongwei pursed his lips, wanting to say something, but in the end, he didn't say anything. Bald man Su Fei continued to smile with simplicity and kindness. Relying on her own internal strength to secure her legs, the delicate woman who had fallen from her innate realm also hid in a corner, looking sinister. Only Wu Yin had a happy congratulatory expression on her face, with a kind of small happiness of meeting a good person. Brother Yong, you're amazing. Then let's go. Wei Qing finally nodded. Zhang Yong didn't give him the remaining clean water, and he had no choice. The internal strife was temporarily meaningless, and he had to find a way to kill the spider demon and seize the martial arts stone tablet. As for the physical aspect, it's not a big deal. After becoming a martial artist in the innate realm, if you don't eat for a few days, your physical strength will still be full, unless you are like a delicate woman who is injured and unable to receive treatment, and has to consume internal energy, which is why your realm falls. Do you want to call more people? The old man suddenly suggested softly. No need, it's troublesome with too many people. Don't forget that there is only one stone tablet for martial arts. Zhang Yong gave a cold smile, full of confidence, and all fear came from lack of strength. Wei Gu, you are the main T, Uncle Bald, you are the deputy T, old man, you are the backup T, little sister can watch beside you, output me, let's clear the level in one go. After a brief arrangement, Zhang Yong suddenly turned around in a whirlwind and stomped on the delicate woman's right leg again. Those who follow me prosper, those who oppose me perish. Being decisive in killing is what pig feet do. I'm Zhang Yong, such a pig's foot. Hurry up and make money. Chapter 6. Flame conquers the enemy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Soon, the faint light emanating from the Monument of Merit transmission was once again seen ahead, and Wei Cheng and his companions arrived at the main mining channel. There is no longer any smell of blood here, but there are some thick spider webs on the ground. Wei Cheng walked at the front, carrying a backpack and holding a pickaxe, fully alert. Although he was scared to pee a few days ago, today he was even more determined. Even if he knew that Zhang Yong was not well-intentioned, he would still give it a fight because he knew that this was really the only chance left. He couldn't take out the 2 hidden vegetable cakes anymore and cultivate another Wuxia Xiantian warrior who had no ambition, was selfless, and willing to die for him. The distance from the entrance to the cave was getting closer and closer, and the spider webs were also increasing. Wei Qing had to use a pickaxe to cut open the spider webs, but still couldn't avoid being stuck a lot. This spider silk wrapped around his legs and feet, feeling as if he had stepped on 502 glue, which was extremely uncomfortable. Even if spider silk touches the skin, there is a burning sensation. Is this spider silk poisonous? The subconscious operation of Wei City's mountain-moving internal power was not as exaggerated as Wuxia's internal power, with a 3-inch purple aura shining all over his body. However, the burning sensation quickly disappeared, and the consumption was minimal. Sure enough, in terms of defense, moving mountains has its own unique internal strength. At this moment, the mining cave ahead gradually opened up, revealing a space as large as a basketball court. A 3-meter-high transmission stone monument was suspended in the center, emitting a faint light. A black spider the size of a heavy truck was constantly hovering around, and the ground and surrounding rock walls were covered in spider silk. Hundreds of small spiders the size of washbasins were crawling around at lightning speed. This scene made Wei Cheng's scalp tingle and his heart skip a beat. It's different, it's completely different from a few days ago. So, back then, Mr. Shen's judgment was very correct. The big guy should have rushed out at that time and maybe even killed the spider demon. But now, 50 people have become 5, and the boss has added hundreds of little brothers and increased range damage. What? What should we do? I still have a wife and children at home. Wei Qing trembled when he heard the bald guy behind him, and even the arrogant little tyrant Zhang Yong fell silent. How about we find some more people, or maybe we find someone who cultivates the purple cloud mine technique. The old man is tapping on his ancestral iron abacus again, but Zhang Yong still has some clear water in his hand, which can completely make Wu Yin a martial artist in the innate realm. For a while, it seemed that even Zhang Yong was a bit moved. In the end, he was just a freshman and a senior high school student in the first half of the year. Fu Zhan, courage is also. Wei Qing suddenly trembled and said, he was also very afraid, but he would not make the same mistake again. Kill. With a loud shout, Wei Qing took out a piece of fiery ore from his backpack, like a fugitive, rushing out at once. In fact, he wanted to try to lure the demon in the stone into the territory of the spider demon. If it really doesn't work, he will detonate the fiery ore and die together. Really, there are only so many methods he can think of. The others were taken aback, but Bald Brother also gritted his teeth and rushed out. Then, the old man, Zhang Yong, and Wu Yin remained silent and didn't dare to breathe, afraid of being locked in by the elusive stone demon. But the stone demon did not appear, and its territory seemed completely different from that of the spider demon. Wei Cheng's mind was a bit blank, with a strong heartbeat. After running a few steps, his legs seemed to have been filled with lead and fell into the mud. The more he struggled, the more he couldn't move. He still underestimated the thick spider web on the ground. The old man in the rear, Zhang Yong, and Wu Yin had already seen the situation and quickly retreated, with no intention of taking action to rescue them. But Bald Brother was even more miserable. Due to nervousness, he jumped out and fell to the ground. At this moment, his whole body was covered in spider webs, rolling more and more tightly. And in all directions, those little spiders were like sharks smelling the fishy smell, crawling over with a whoosh. Rough. After cursing, Wei Qing also spared no effort. While frantically using his internal power to move mountains, he rubbed the fiery ore with his hands. In just 2 or 3 strokes, heavy red flames and shadows surged up, both supernatural and dangerous. Wei Qing was covered in hair and suddenly threw it towards the large spider on the left. As a result, the fiery ore was less than 5 meters away and exploded directly in mid-air. The terrifying flames instantly swept through everything, and the huge impact force made Wei Qing fly directly to the clouds and then fall back to the ground. Even if he had a level of internal strength to protect himself from moving mountains, he was now directly knocked out of breath, and his internal strength was scattered everywhere, as if he had fallen apart, with stars in his eyes and deaf ears. Then he felt intense pain all over his body, but his whole body was burning. His only remaining consciousness was to roll on the ground with all his might, while trying to gather his inner strength as much as possible, which was already his only life-saving straw. However, Wei Qing didn't know where he rolled to, and the flames burned wherever he went. The previously murderous little spiders were frightened by the flames and quickly retreated to escape. Those who couldn't escape were surrounded by the flames and burned to death. Even worse is the big spider. Although this place is spacious, it is a dead end for it. When the flames rise everywhere, no matter how much spider web it sprays, it can only make itself more cooked. Such a big fire made others even more afraid to approach, but at the same time, everyone was also looking forward to it. No one cared about Wei Cheng and Bald Brother who were howling in the flames. No one thinks they can survive in such a sea of fire. But in fact, even the 2 of Wei City underestimated the defensive effect brought by moving the mountain's internal power, especially the strong internal power of one armor. Before, Wei Cheng was only knocked unconscious by a fall. As he gradually regained consciousness and successfully regained his inner strength, he immediately realized that the damage caused by the burning flames had rapidly weakened. Of course, the resulting loss of internal force during mountain moving is also significant. Xiao Wei, the stone tablet. Bald Brother, who was separated by a large sea of fire on the other side, suddenly shouted out. He had not been impacted before and was over 30 meters away from the Monument of Merit transmission. However, Wei City was blasted out by the shock wave caused by the explosion of the flame stone. At this moment, he was only 5 or 6 meters away from the Monument of Merit transmission. Upon hearing this, Wei Qing immediately woke up and rushed towards the Monument of Merit transmission, covered in flames. Almost at the same time, 5 or 6 figures emerged from the mining cave behind. There were still many smart people, and whoever touched the transmission stone monument first at this time might have gained even greater rewards. These few people are all practicing the technique of moving mountains without exception. As long as they avoid the large area of fire, the remaining high temperatures and small areas of flames will not have much impact. But they are faster, and there are also people who are faster, those who have practiced the Lingyan heart technique. Roughly your wife. Dare to snatch the monster from me. Zhang Yong finally realized it later and rushed out with purple energy, and his speed was not slower than those who had practiced the Lingyan heart technique. But no matter how fast they are, they cannot match Wei City. When Wei City was engulfed in flames and rushed towards the Monument of Merit transmission, the others were still more than 10 meters away. And almost at that moment, an extremely bright light shone on the Chuangong stone steel, which everyone was familiar with. It was the kind of magical light that could make people's spirit excellent and increase their physical potential. Unfortunately, this light only shone on Wei City. In just an instant, Wei Cheng's whole body was in pain, and even the burnt injury was visibly healed. Spiritually, it feels like being illuminated by warm sunshine, feeling refreshed and refreshed. Unfortunately, it only lasted for 2 seconds. When Zhang Yong came first and the second one rushed over, the light disappeared. However, he still touched the Monument of Merit transmission, but by this time the Monument of Merit transmission had already shrunk by half. Then there was the third and fourth person, and when the 10th person rushed over and touched the Monument of Merit transmission, the thing disappeared directly. Chapter 7. Purple Chi coming from the east. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The first level of Yulong Palm technique is really great, it perfectly matches my purple cloud heart technique. In the mine, Zhang Yong suppressed his voice and laughed happily. Then he remembered something and asked Wei Cheng, Wei Gu, what did you touch? Iron head skill or iron cloth shirt? Wei Cheng ignored him, picked up the unburned backpack and came to Bald Brother's side. In the end, this old man was unable to touch the Monument of Merit transmission. Brother Su, are you okay? I'm fine, as long as I'm still alive, Bald Brother smiled foolishly, with a pretty good mindset. Xiao Wei, what did you touch? The first weight of the Golden Bell Guard. Wei Qing spoke briefly, but his voice was not loud, but it caused a sound of inhalation and envy in his eyes. Among the 10 people who just touched the stone tablet, 4 were practitioners of Lingyan heart technique and 4 were practitioners of Moving Mountains heart technique. However, the best of them only touched the iron cloth shirt, while the remaining 3 were all iron head skills. Although these 3 external skills all match the mountain moving heart technique, there is actually a huge difference. Iron head skill only strengthens the defense of the head and can occasionally be used for attacks. The matching degree with the mountain moving technique is only 60%. Since the iron cloth shirt is a shirt, it actually strengthens the defense of the torso, and its matching degree is 70%. Only the Golden Bell Shield is an overall defense without any weaknesses throughout the body. The matching degree given by the Trial Immortal vividly explains everything in 3 dimensions. In addition, as the first person to touch the Monument of Merit transmission, the 2 seconds of light irradiation brought him tremendous benefits. Not only did it heal all his burns and internal injuries, but it also made his spirit particularly clear, making his soul feel unique and transparent, as if he had opened his mind. The most direct impact of this was that the first-level technique of the Golden Bell Mask was fully understood by him in the blink of an eye. With a slight operation of his mountain-moving internal power, he could vaguely see a faint golden light covering his entire body from head to toe. The defense capability has at least doubled compared to just now. This should be the effect of simultaneously using mental techniques and matching external skill techniques. At this point, the people who had been hiding in the mine before had already crawled out, totaling 38 people. Everyone dared not speak loudly, but there were some people who were salivating at the burnt spider. Because this is currently the only type of food in the mine. Everyone, I'll come first. If I haven't been poisoned to death, it's not too late for everyone to eat again. Anyway, this big piece is enough for us to eat. A middle-aged man was the first to jump out and shout in a low voice. He was also practicing the technique of moving mountains, but he didn't touch the stone tablet for passing the merit. Now he regrets it to death. It turns out that as long as the first person touches the monument of merit transmission, they can get the greatest benefit. This is too simple. Mr. Shen, you died so wrongly. So, why be cautious? Be bold, be even more bold. However, everyone understands this principle. As the man rushed forward, others immediately rushed forward in a swarm, regardless of whether it was a spider or a crab. They ate and chewed on it, which looked quite delicious. After waiting for a few seconds, the second wave of people couldn't help it anymore. In the end, even Wei Cheng and Bald Brother joined the competition. That's right, this big spider is indeed edible, especially after being grilled in flames. The taste is delicious and the taste is unique, it is simply unforgettable. And this barbecue spider has a very high effect on restoring physical strength. Those who practice the purple cloud heart technique start practicing by sitting cross-legged, and everyone else is the same. Those who are in the innate realm are just starting, and no one cares about having more internal power. Due to the large and numerous spiders on the barbecue, there is currently no one to compete for them. We just make the most of our time to practice. After practicing for a week, if we get hungry, we immediately go eat the spiders and continue practicing. This energy is comparable to the approaching 100 days of the college entrance examination. Wei Cheng is also among them, but slightly different is that due to his clear spirit, he has gained a general enlightenment and a deeper understanding of the technique of moving mountains. So at this moment, he felt particularly proficient in practicing the mountain-moving mind technique. The speed of cultivation is slightly faster than before. Others can only cultivate for 2 weeks, but he can already cultivate for 3 weeks. And the amount of internal power gained from moving mountains on each Sunday is slightly increased compared to before, so in reality, it is almost equivalent to someone who cultivates 4 Sundays, and can actually gain the internal power to cultivate 7 Sundays. After about 3 days, when everyone had practiced for an average of 5 to 6 weeks, the barbecue spider was finally eaten up. At this point, all those who have chosen the purple cloud heart technique have successfully cultivated 1 armor of internal power and become innate martial artists. This makes their combat effectiveness directly superior to others. Especially Zhang Yong, who obtained the first level of Yulong Palm technique, his combat effectiveness is now undoubtedly the first person. He contacted all the people who practiced the purple cloud heart technique, claiming that the purple chi from the east would come from all over the world. Although his name was second, his actions were not ambiguous, and he directly dominated the remaining barbecue spiders. Others dare not speak out in anger. Because I really can't beat it. Some people also hoped that Wei Cheng would stand out, but Wei Cheng sat there silently. In the past 3 days, others have only practiced for 6 weeks at the fastest, but in reality, they have practiced for 10 weeks. Judging from the total amount of internal power, they have been practicing for 20 years, which is 1/3 of a year. In addition, he still has 2 vegetable cakes left. This thing was carefully broken by him, and he secretly ate it while others were not paying attention. The taste was very bitter, but the recovered strength was excellent. It's slightly better than that kind of clear water. A piece of vegetable cake can help him cultivate for about 2 weeks, and 2 pieces of vegetable cake can increase his internal strength for another 10 years. At this point, he has already possessed 90 years of mountain-moving internal power, and due to the foundation of innate martial artists, the internal power he cultivates at this time will not permanently disappear with loss, but can still be restored with the recovery of his physical strength. Wei, let's talk about it. Around the 4th day, Yu was reading a book at www.yuyukeangshu.net, and Wei Cheng was silently pondering the first level of the Golden Bell Mask. Zhang Yong came with a group of people, and now they have eaten all the remaining barbecue spiders. On average, each person has practiced for 2 more weeks as a result, which is the benefit. Therefore, it seems that the purple chi from the east will come to the world. Among the 30.8 survivors, 20 have now become part of Zhang Yong's group, and the name Yonggu is quite well known. Wei Cheng looked up at him. What do you want to say? Wei Gu, it's all thanks to your help that I have today. I am a moral person and can repay kindness. But please wait for a moment. Our top priority now is how to get out of this mine. The overall situation is like this. Please give me a thumbs up and work together. Zhang Yong crouched in front of Wei Cheng, with a sincere expression on his face. Okay. Wei Gu is grand. Zhang Yong snapped his fingers, stood up, and gestured to the people around him. This is my brother Wei, and he will also be your brother Wei from now on. Remember, show respect to everyone. Wei Gu. Hello Wei Gu. In the dim light, there were people whispering in unison, some with smiles on their faces, but their eyes were narrow-minded, some without smiles, their eyes were indifferent. Whether looking at Zhang Yong or Wei City, it's all for fun. Still too young. Wei Cheng glanced at Zhang Yong, who seemed to be standing at the peak of his life, and the bald guy with a simple and sincere smile not far away. Perhaps on Earth, under the constraints of civilization, law, and social morality, everyone would consciously put aside their edges and claws. But now, as we become more familiar with the rules here, in order to survive and gain more, no one is easy to get along with. Chapter 8. 9 Meridians and 9 Meridians. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This place is a bit unique. There is a basketball court-sized space in the middle, with a height of about 5 meters. It is neatly excavated, and there are a total of 4 mining tunnels extending around it. One of them is the mining tunnel where the 50 people of Wei City first appeared, which no longer requires exploration. Although there are several branch mines, they are all dead ends. The remaining 3 mining tunnels all lead evenly to the other 3 directions. But the problem is that all 3 mining channels are blocked. Zhang Yong's plan is to dig one by one. Simple, rough, and without asking for any reason. As for who will dig, of course it will be done by people with rough skin and thick flesh. Zhang Yong's cooperation with Wei Cheng is just this matter, which is called a sudden situation where only tanks can withstand it. Wei Cheng did not refuse this matter. After all, at this time, whoever has the highest defense is none other than him. He carefully observed the 3 blocked mines, but did not see anything special. These 3 mines were all blocked with single blocks of ore or piled up from the outside to the inside. That is to say, it was because there was some danger outside that scared a group of miners into the mine tunnel and blocked all exits. Xiao Wei, be careful. I feel it's more dangerous outside the mine. Bald Brother whispered in a low voice. Wei Cheng nodded and chose the middle mining channel, then picked up a piece of ore and handed it over. Bald Brother took it and handed it to a third person, all the way to more than 10 people. This method is faster, and in no time, 5 or 6 meters of mining space will be cleared. At this moment, Wei Cheng's heart suddenly became agitated because he found a withered arm below after moving a piece of ore. Although he had already witnessed the dead with his own eyes, Wei Cheng was still frightened and his hair stood on end. The cold sensation behind his neck triggered an instant burst of his internal power to move mountains. Subconsciously, he activated the golden bell shield, and in an instant, a layer of light golden light appeared all over his body. In this pitch-black mine, it was particularly eye-catching. When this scene was seen by people from behind, they were already on edge like frightened birds, thinking that something had happened and running faster than rabbits one by one. "It's okay, it's just a corpse." Wei Cheng went out and explained in a low voice. He continued to carefully move the ore and excavated the body. Obviously, this was a miner because there was a flattened backpack behind him. I don't know what material this backpack was made of. Although it was flattened, it didn't rot or damage. After Wei Cheng opened it, he found 2 fist-sized, jade-colored ores inside, which naturally belonged to him. Later, he checked the clothes of the dried corpse again and unexpectedly found a small package wrapped in cloth on its body, which contained 4 non-spoiled vegetable cakes. Wei Cheng felt a bit puzzled and quickly hid it close to him, continuing to scrutinize the corpse. If it's a corpse, it will rot. Even if the vegetable cake is wrapped in cloth, it cannot be contaminated during the process of corpse decay, but the current situation is very different. Unless, at the moment of death, all the blood and water in the miner's body were absorbed and turned into a corpse. Did the spider demon do it? Wei Cheng pondered that there was indeed a possibility of the spider's way of eating, but the miner died in the mine tunnel. His companions didn't even have time to rescue him, so they had to seal him in the mine tunnel with stones. Therefore, the danger still came from outside, with a monster that could instantly suck people into dry corpses. Thinking of this, Wei Cheng dragged out the dried corpse, causing everyone to be frightened and afraid to come forward to inspect, so they naturally did not know what he had gained. Wei Cheng said nothing and once again led the way into the mine, while others walked in under the threat of Zhang Yong and others, continuing to pass stones outward. Next, as the blocked mine was continuously cleared forward, Wei Cheng discovered another corpse sealed under a stone. On this corpse, he scraped out a water sack with some remaining water and 3 vegetable cakes. Although the harvest is good, it also means that danger is getting closer and the exit is always ahead. We need to take a break. Wei Cheng walked out and said coldly to Zhang Yong. They had already moved a mining tunnel of about 30 meters, and although it didn't consume much energy, it had to be restored. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Yong hesitated for a moment. Before he could say anything, a young man in his 20s behind him smiled and said, "But Wei Gu, the exit may be not far away. It would be better to move it with one go. When the time comes, our world will take the lead, and with the benefits, we will definitely not forget everyone." This man's name is Song Guiming, and he is also a practitioner of the purple cloud heart technique. He has an eloquent mouth and can flatter others with flying colors. These days, he has gained the trust of Zhang Yong and appears to be his top confidant. But in fact, even discerning people can see that this is just deceiving Zhang Yong for not being deeply involved in the world. These people from Xianxia Hui don't care about the name of Zhonger at all. They are just playing with Zhang Yong, a foolish young man. Although Wei Cheng is not an elite in the workplace, how can we not see this? Upon hearing this, he gave Song Guiming a cold glance and said, "I need to rest. You guys should go by yourselves." After speaking, he ran straight towards the previous mining path. Although there were demons in the rocks, as long as he didn't shout, it was actually the safest path. He wants to increase the internal strength of moving mountains to 2 levels before opening the mine exit, which is 120 years. In this way, if he encounters that vampire monster, he will have a chance to survive. There's a golden bell cover, no wonder it's just an aura. Hey, he's just lucky. He was the first to touch the monument of merit transmission. Otherwise, if it were our brave brother who touched it first, how could this kid be so reckless? Song Guiming and a few others whispered a strange and childish way behind him, but it was particularly useful to Zhang Yong because Zhang Yong was most conflicted when he was only one step away from touching the monument of merit transmission. For a moment, Zhang Yong's face turned black and red, but soon he chuckled awkwardly. "It's okay," Wei Gu said, "we need to rest, let's wait for as long as possible. Don't talk nonsense anymore, Wei Gu and I, that's a deadly friendship." At this point, Wei Qing had returned to the end of the mining cave where he first appeared. Although it was dilapidated, it still reassured him. He moved a few stones and placed them at the entrance before sitting cross-legged. He drank water first, then ate vegetables and cakes, and fully utilized the mountain-moving mind technique, one day after another. During this period, under the instigation of Song Guiming and others, Zhang Yong also came to urge Wei Qing twice. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net, but he remained silent. "Do you have the ability to fight me here?" Although Zhang Yong claimed to be the bravest in the world, he dared not disturb the demon in the stone and could only leave reluctantly. Finally, as Wei Qing cultivated the total number of internal forces for moving mountains to 220 years, a thunderous sound exploded in his mind. The stone tablet he had originally chosen for passing the merit reappeared, and at the same time, the 220 years of internal forces for moving mountains also exploded, breaking through the barrier once again. But this time, Wei Qing was much more calm, because the information he learned from the reappearance of the merit stone monument was also different. Originally, his ability to move mountains and break through levels of internal strength was actually opening up a brand new and important meridian in his body. He previously used the mountain-moving mind technique, which seemed to involve traveling through various meridians and acupoints throughout the body, but in reality, it could only be considered as tapping into a small part of his body's potential. Only after passing the level can we unlock more physical potential. And the acupoints and orifices of these meridians that have been cleared after passing the barrier are called congenital meridians. In terms of moving mountains, they are called congenital 9 meridians and 9 meridians. By accumulating 100 taels of internal energy, one can open up one innate meridian. Once 9 innate meridians are opened up, one can go further. Wei Qing didn't know what it meant to go further, but he clearly felt that his current physical condition was at least twice as strong as before. In this dark mine, seeing things is like daylight, and the breathing, whispers, and even heartbeat of those people over 100 meters away can become incredibly clear under his deliberate listening. And when he tried to operate the first level of the Golden Bell Mask technique, he only heard a dull buzzing, and his whole body formed a golden bell illusion 3 inches away from the body. Compared to Zhang Yong's full use of the purple cloud mind technique, the release of purple qi is much more domineering. Chapter 9. The Vampire Demon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wei Gu, have you rested well? When Wei City reappeared, everyone's eyes gathered together, and Zhang Yong couldn't hide his displeasure. These days they have been quite agonizing. Although the martial artists in the innate realm do not need to consider food and drink for the time being, if they continue to delay like this, everyone will be trapped and dead here. But without Wei City, they dare not venture out alone. Let's start, everyone prepare for the battle. There must be a huge danger outside this mine. Wei Qing didn't say much and walked into the mining tunnel first, while the others rushed in and carried the stones in succession. Everyone's heart is filled with anxiety, both hoping to leave here and afraid of encountering danger. This time, Wei Qing just cleared up less than 5 meters ahead, and the blocked mine tunnel was completely opened. A familiar, soft light came from it, which was the stone tablet for passing the merit. It was exactly the same as the previous one, 3 meters high, floating 3 feet above the ground. For a moment, everyone couldn't help but feel a beat in their hearts, but no one dared to move around until Wei Qing slowly moved all the stones at the entrance, and the light shone all the way to the rear of the mine. Everyone step back, step back. Wei Gu, what's the situation? Zhang Yong and others quickly squeezed to the front, their eyes spinning wildly. Wei Qing didn't speak, just pointed to the top of the merit transmission stone tablet, where thousands of large bats were hanging upside down on the rock wall. And below, there is a similar pattern, a space the size of a basketball court, but with some additional stone beds, tables, and chairs. In addition, there are more than 10 suspected corpses of miners. The situation is very clear. Wei, you have the highest defense, so I have to trouble you. At this moment, Zhang Yong handed over a piece of flame stone. Previously, in that mine, not only Wei City had mined flame stone, but Xianxia had also mined a piece. Unfortunately, he died before winning the battle. Now, this flame stone is in Zhang Yong's hands. Seeing the scene where Wei City used flame stone to detonate a spider web and burn the spider demon to death, they naturally thought of this method of breaking through the barrier. But can this fiery stone really kill all the bat demons? Wei Cheng was very skeptical, but he did not refuse. This flame stone is definitely powerful, but it also requires skills and time to trigger. With his current defense, he is confident that he can withstand the impact of the flame stone explosion. Are you all ready? Wei Cheng asked, but his gaze fell on Bald Brother. This time, he had to find a way to make Bald Brother touch the Monument of Merit transmission, as there were only 10 spots available. But Bald Brother just smiled foolishly. Looking at the others, they were all rubbing their hands and preparing for a 100-meter sprint at any time. I hope so. Wei Cheng no longer hesitated, holding a fiery stone in one hand and a pickaxe in the other, leaping forward and jumping out of the entrance of the mine. His body was as agile as those who practiced the Lingyan heart technique. This is the change brought about by connecting the two innate meridians. The internal strength of the two jiazi allows him to lift weights as lightly as a cow, and his body as light as a swallow. The shortcomings of the mountain-moving technique have been maximally compensated for. The appearance of Wei City did not disturb the bat demon above his head, so he calmly walked forward, getting closer and closer to the Monument of Merit transmission. Seeing that there were only 10 meters left, before the bat demons could be alarmed, the people in the rear mining lanes suddenly couldn't hold their breath because they suddenly realized that as long as the bat demons were not alarmed, Wei City could once again take advantage of them. This was not enough. Immediately, someone wanted to rush out. Under the crowd, many people instinctively rushed out, clattering. Dozens of people ran out, inevitably with footsteps and the sound of stepping on rocks. This immediately alarmed the bat demon above, a gust of fishy wind blew up, and the stench hit like a mountain. The light emitted by the transmission stone was immediately blocked, but the thousands of bat demons had already rushed down like lightning. But at this moment, most people still want to move forward, ignore everything else, and make sure to touch the Monument of Merit transmission first. Immediately after, a mournful scream sounded. Several men and women who had practiced the Lingyan heart technique and understood the techniques of floating on the water and flying on the grass, only managed to leap more than 10 meters before being knocked down by a large group of bat demons, pressed under their bodies, and their mouthparts pierced. In the blink of an eye, they were sucked into a human body. Their speed is still a bit lacking. The screams awakened others, mainly because they had not yet taken the initiative to be alone. The person who cultivates the mountain-moving mind technique has rough skin and thick flesh, strong defense, and great strength. Even if attacked by a bat demon, they can tear it off and wave a pickaxe to directly kill it. As for those who practice the purple cloud heart technique, they actually have an advantage at this time, especially the bold and nervous Leng Tu Qing Zhangyong, who really played a calming and decisive role in the military at this time. This guy doesn't even know how to be afraid. His purple Xia internal power is running wildly, and his purple chi rises. Coupled with the first level of the Yulong palm technique, he is like a purple large loach in the crowd, rushing forward and forth, hitting left and right. As long as he hits a bat demon, it will just break its bones and tendons and curl up to death. In the blink of an eye, the situation was temporarily stabilized by one's own efforts. If the number of bat demons was not so many. In fact, at this moment, every second, someone is knocked down and then sucked into the air due to insufficient rescue efforts. At the same time, Wei City encountered more bat demon attacks. After all, he was alone. But as he used his inner power to move the mountain and unleashed the first layer of the Golden Bell shield, a Golden Bell phantom appeared out of nowhere, and all the attacks of bat demons could not harm him at all. Then he seized the opportunity and rubbed the blazing stone hard, throwing it forcefully towards the rear as soon as the second flash of flames appeared on it. That's the direction where the others are, because there are the most bat demons over there. As expected, the flame stone exploded with a loud explosion within less than 10 meters of flying. The huge flames instantly engulfed a large number of bat demons, and a huge shockwave carried flames to throw out a larger range of bat demons, including Zhang Yong and his group. Corn stalks that seemed to have been blown by a strong wind were swaying and falling into a state of embarrassment, but at least the life and death crisis they were facing was largely resolved. As for Wei Cheng, he turned his back as soon as he threw the flame stone. At the moment when the shock wave formed by the explosion of the flame stone hit him, his whole body felt as if he had been hit hard. The Golden Bell phantom flickered and directly shattered and disappeared, but successfully blocked the remaining impact damage for him. The bat demons that were besieging him were swept away. With leverage, Wei Cheng made a sudden thrust and successfully rushed to the side of the Monument of Merit transmission, touching it. The familiar light once again lit up, enveloping him for a full 3 seconds. At this moment, other people awkwardly climbed up from the ground, and the remaining bat demons also screamed and rushed forward. The battle was not over yet. But Wei Cheng was completely fearless, with his strong mountain-moving internal power running throughout his body. The phantom of the Golden Bell, which was 3 inches away from his body, reappeared. At the same time, he held a mining pickaxe and waved it like the wind. No matter how eerie those bat demons were, they could not escape his full strike. As the pickaxe descended, a cloud of blood mist exploded in the air. In a short period of time, he unexpectedly killed 30 to 50 bat demons. After all, there are still too many bat demons. Although Zhang Yong and others are also working hard, there are only a dozen or so left. They are still thinking of charging towards the Monument of Merit transmission, but they can't come over. Wei Cheng drove all the way with a Golden Bell cover, trying to pick them up. But at this moment, he suddenly felt his hair stand on end and he didn't have time to check. He turned into a rolling gourd and jumped off in embarrassment. Almost at the same time, a black shadow flashed through his previous position, failing to hit Wei City, but piercing through a man who was practicing mountain-moving techniques. He had thought it would be safer to be closer to this fierce man in Wei City, but he never wanted to die faster. The elusive stone demon has been attracted again. Chapter 10. Survival from Disaster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Go back. Wei Cheng urged in a low voice, and at this moment, it was already a luxury to grab and touch the Chuangong stone steel. There are still hundreds of bat demons left here, too many. Especially in this open area, Wei City cannot protect everyone and can only resist by retreating to the narrow mine passage. At this moment, even the stunned young Zhang Yong was trembling with fear. He had killed dozens of bat demons, but his Xianxia internal strength had also been depleted by half, mainly because too many people had died. His original courage was now completely depleted. Not to mention the others, almost everyone is injured. Not everyone has learned to cooperate and cover each other at this time, and with the presence of Wei Cheng, they are only one step away from collapse. Bang bang bang. The pickaxe in Wei Cheng's hand opened and closed wide, killing one bat demon by one in the air, quickly sharing the pressure with everyone, while everyone tried to maintain a steady pace of retreat and step by step retreated into the mine. At the entrance of the mine, Wei Cheng alone blocked all the bat demons, and no matter how many came, he didn't want to rush over. In just a short moment, he killed dozens of bat demons again. At this point, the remaining bat demons finally trembled and continued to hover, but dared not move forward. The others took this opportunity and quickly brought stones to block the entrance of the mine. Wei Qing slowly sat down against the stone wall, and his internal energy for moving mountains was actually almost depleted. No matter how much internal strength Liang Jiazi had, he couldn't withstand such consumption. In fact, if he hadn't touched the transmission stone first and replenished his vitality to its peak state, he would not have been able to sustain it until now. Although the bat demon is not difficult to deal with, it has too many problems and sharp mouthparts. It must always open the golden bell mask, otherwise if bitten, half of its blood will be lost. Woo-woo. In the dark mine, Zhang Yong, the previously tyrannical and disobedient little tyrant, suddenly suppressed his voice and cried. This young man with thick nerves finally knew what fear was at this moment. But everyone was struggling, feeling very low and even hopeless. They had 30.8 people before, and in this short period of time, there were only 11 left. Even though they didn't have much friendship with each other, watching each other scream and fall in front of them, quickly being sucked into a corpse, this feeling was absolutely uncomfortable. Wei Qing looked up and scanned the faces of everyone one by one. Among the 11 still alive at this moment, except for Zhang Yong and a middle-aged man named Han Dong, the rest were all practitioners of mountain-moving techniques. In other words, the Purple Qi Donglai World Association, which had been invested with infinite hope and arrogance by Zhang Yong before, has now completely disappeared, and even the beautiful little beauty with a very good figure like Wu Yin has not been able to survive. Faced with the attack of the bat demon, besides those who practice the mountain-moving mind technique, they can use the mountain-moving internal power to prevent the bat demon from quickly sucking blood. Practicing the other two mind techniques is completely impossible. Especially those who practice the Lingyan heart technique, there is not a single one left, all of them have died. What reassured Wei City was that although Bald Brother was in a state of embarrassment, he was still among the survivors, as simple and honest as ever. No one spoke, and Wei Qing didn't want to speak either. He took out a piece of vegetable cake, ate it bit by bit, and then closed his eyes to regulate his breath, comprehending the second skill of the Golden Bell Mask. This is the reward for him just touching the monument of merit. Just now, for some unknown reason, the demon in the stone unexpectedly locked onto him. Fortunately, after receiving the light from the stone tablet 3 times in a row, his spiritual sensitivity far exceeded before, which allowed him to dodge in time. However, this also became his biggest concern. To escape from the assassination of the demon in the stone, besides the necessary sensitivity, the most important thing is still defense. I don't know if he can withstand the second level of cultivation of the Golden Bell Mask. For a long time, Wei Qing opened his eyes and a moment of golden light surged around his body, but then disappeared without a trace. He had completely mastered the second level of the Golden Bell Mask technique. Everyone else looked at him quietly, with envy and awe in their eyes, even the eyes of the little tyrant Zhang Yong dodged. Everyone needs to find a way to continue practicing. When you gather enough internal energy of 2 armor pieces, you will be able to open up the second innate meridian. Wei Qing briefly described what he knew, which could be considered to boost morale. After all, everyone's state at the moment is really a bit sluggish. Those bat demons are not a concern. As long as we guard this mine and try not to make loud noises, we can gradually kill them. We still have 11 people left, which means that 9 of you will be able to touch the transmission stone monument. Now, let's break down the stone wall and replenish our energy first. Wei Cheng's words were very calm, but they immediately boosted everyone's spirits. Whether it was the internal strength of 2 Jia Zi or the number of places to touch the transmission stone tablet, they all filled everyone with hope. The stone wall was quickly dismantled, and the half-shrunk transmission stone tablet continued to emit light. There were only less than 200 bat demons left, and now they were hanging upside down again above the rock wall. Only corpses everywhere were reminding everyone of the tragic battle just now. Wei Qing asked others to stay in the mine, and he tried to walk as lightly as possible, picking up some bat demon corpses that had been burned to death by flames. Now he had no choice. However, just as he was preparing to search for the corpses of the miners, a violent explosion suddenly came from the other direction of the mine, startling the bat demons and making strange noises before rushing down. Wei Qing didn't dare to be careless. While activating the golden bell shield, he slowed down his attack frequency to avoid attracting the demon in the stone again. In fact, if it weren't for the concern of the demon in the stone, with his current second-level defense of the golden bell shield, he wouldn't have been afraid of these bat demons at all. At this point, he could only fight and retreat. After retreating back to the mine, everyone quickly responded and blocked them with a stone wall, successfully blocking the bat demons. The whole process can be said to be quite smooth. They not only killed more than 50 bat demons, but also snatched back some food that could restore their strength. Xiao Wei, the meat of this bat demon can be eaten, no less than that roasted spider. Bald Brother whispered a sentence. Wei Qing nodded without any affectation and silently ate a clean meal with everyone. When everyone's physical strength was almost restored, he said in a deep voice. There are other people in this mine. The explosion just now sounded a bit like a blazing flame stone, and it should not be too far from us, at most 500 to 600 meters, so we need to speed up. At the very least, we need to touch the transmission stone monument first. So this time, let's go out together. The sense of urgency in Wei Cheng's heart grew stronger and stronger. He was not worried about encountering unfriendly people, but rather about competition. Whoever touches the stone tablet of the cultivation method first means a huge advantage. Not only can one obtain the best martial arts techniques, but they can also have a mysterious light shining for 2 to 3 seconds, which is a good thing that can comprehensively enhance vitality and spiritual power. Okay. Just listen to Wei Gu. Everyone nodded repeatedly. Now that they have eaten and drunk enough, their internal strength has also recovered, and they have gained experience in dealing with those bat demons. So let's fight again. Opening the stone wall again, there were still bats and demons hovering outside. Wei City took the lead, and the phantom of the golden bell suddenly erupted. The pickaxe in his hand was no longer merciful. The previous explosion may have led the demons away again, so he took a risk this time. On the side of Wei City, there was Zhang Yong, who was clearly much more silent. Although he did not have a golden bell shield to protect himself, it must be said that Xiaxia's internal strength, combined with the Yulong palm technique, was very powerful. Those bat demons flying in were mostly captured by Zhang Yong's slaps and slaps. More than a dozen bat demons have no choice but to wait for him. On the other side, there is Han Dong, who has always been relatively low-key. He also cultivates the purple cloud heart technique. Although he has not been able to obtain a matching external skill, he holds a pickaxe and injects purple energy, surprisingly able to handle it with ease. Previously, only he and Zhang Yong survived, not for no reason. Wei Cheng, Zhang Yong, and Han Dong took the lead in the battle, while the rest of them were all chopping indiscriminately. They didn't need any rules or techniques, because they only needed to use their internal power to move the mountain, and were not afraid of bat demons sucking blood. Even if they were bitten by a single negligence, they wouldn't immediately lose their combat power. Moreover, they are now backed by the mine and can support and cover each other. After fighting fiercely for a while, the pressure suddenly eased, but no more bat demons could be seen above their heads. They successfully survived. Everyone looked at Wei City. Even though some people were eager to touch the monument of merit transmission, they chose to endure at this moment. Han Dong, you should be the first to touch it, and you should be able to touch the first level of Yulong palm technique. Zhang Yong doesn't need to touch it anymore. You have already obtained external skills. The top priority is to quickly cultivate your internal power to 2 levels and open up the second innate meridian. At that time, your strength can be at least doubled. Brother Su, you are the second to touch it. There is a high probability that you can still touch the first layer of the Golden Bell Guard. These are the 3 most valuable spots for the transmission of merit stone steel. Hu Hai Long, if you go to touch it the 3rd time, you will definitely be able to touch the first layer of the iron cloth shirt. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net Yuliang, you have already obtained the external skill of the iron cloth shirt before, so you don't need to touch it this time. Hurry up and practice it. Wang Wei is the fourth. Cheng'an is the fifth. Wei Qing spoke calmly, shouting out his names one by one, and everyone obediently lined up to step forward. No one was dissatisfied, including his predecessor Xiao Bawang and the stunned young Zhang Yong, who seemed to have grown several years old in an instant. However, it is unclear whether the difficulty has increased or if one has a better character. The technique obtained from this transmission stone tablet is slightly better. Not only did Han Dong successfully touch the first layer of Yulong's palm technique, but Bald Brother touched the first layer of the Golden Bell Mask, even Hu Hailong touched the first layer of the Golden Bell Mask, Wang Wei and Cheng'an touched the first layer of the Iron Cloth Shirt, while the other three only touched the Iron Head technique. Don't be fooled by the small differences, life and death are determined at critical moments. 3 Golden Bell covers, 3 Iron Cloth shirts, 2 Dragon Palm techniques, and 3 Iron Head techniques. If all of them cultivate 2 levels of internal power and open up the second innate meridian, how much will their competitiveness increase? Wei Qing pondered in his heart. Wei Gu, there is still one spot left for the Monument of Merit transmission, do you think? Yu Liang leaned forward and asked with a smile. Wei Qing glanced at the Monument of Merit transmission, and at this moment, it was only the size of a computer case left, even the light was much weaker. What can still be touched now are Zhang Yong and Yu Liang, but Zhang Yong has already entered a cultivation state, so only Yu Liang remains. Okay, it's yours now. Thank you very much, Brother Wei. Yu Liang ran over with his butt bumping, touched it, and the stone tablet for passing the merit dissipated, but his expression was slightly disappointed. Iron Head skill is the top priority, and I also want to feel like flying on the grass or climbing up the clouds. Upon hearing these words, Wei Qing felt lost in thought.